Hello again everybody, Jeremy Latham, the hip surgeon here. It's the 17th of April, the end of another week of lockdown here in the UK. The government said perhaps another 3 or 4 weeks of this, certainly into next month, May, when things might start to ease. There are some encouraging signs that the disease is perhaps plateauing here in the UK. I know that London and the big cities are certainly having more than their fair share of cases. We don't seem to be having the huge volumes that those places do here in the south, but of course we may just be a few days behind the peak. But certainly the signs are very encouraging. It seems to be the case in Italy and France that their caseload is certainly tailing off as well, and perhaps in the US as well. Clearly though, still very uncertain times. We don't have a vaccine as yet, and it may well be a year to 18 months before one comes along, if one ever does. This is a virus which perhaps isn't really amenable to having a vaccine, much like the common cold. Coronavirus can change and mutate into other forms, so it makes it very difficult to develop a vaccine for this particular virus. There may be recurrences of the epidemic as time goes on, particularly as people start going back to work and their normal activities. So we're not out of the woods by any means at all, and it's important still to follow the government's advice about social distancing and following the guidelines about avoiding crowds, and if you're particularly vulnerable, staying at home. I'm still open for business and happy to receive phone calls and emails from people who want to discuss their hip problems. Sooner or later we're going to get back to work, and the sooner you start planning for your hip surgery, the sooner we can get cracking again. As I've said before, there'll be a big backlog of work both within the NHS and the private sector. We're going to lose at least a quarter's activity of joint replacement surgery in the UK, and that's probably about 30 to 50,000 joint replacements, if not more. That's a lot of work to get through later in the year. Waiting lists are only going to get bigger, so the sooner you book your surgery, the sooner we can get going again. Hopefully we'll be starting to operate probably in July or August, but I will keep you of course updated on that. As you know, the private sector has handed over its capacity to the NHS, which is a great thing because it offloads the acute sector and allows more patients to be treated in the appropriate environment. The Wessex Nuffield Hospital is taking patients from the Southampton trusts, and those patients are going to be given rehab at the Nuffield using our own physiotherapists. I've been asked by the Nuffield to look after those patients, so I'll be the lead consultant for orthopaedic rehabilitation. It's great to be able to help my colleagues both in the NHS and in the private sector, and it's a job that I'm very much looking forward to doing. I can continue to look after my patients and be involved in their management and help my colleagues as well. If you have any questions or comments, please do get in touch. If you like the channel, please hit the like button and subscribe. I'll speak to you again next week. In the meantime, you know where to find me. I hope you all stay very safe and well out there. Thanks for watching. I'm Jeremy Latham. I'm the hip surgeon.